of the day, is resilient. No matter what you do, keep working, man.
Right there. Handle. Don't forget the handle. Right.
I got Mike McCarthy on police now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling them everything.
Hey, you got nothing else to do but just spank your ass last year. Believe that. Yeah, it's coming again, baby. It's coming again. It's coming again. Hey, by the way,
it's football season, man. As you see, a Dallas Cowboy fan tried to infiltrate our training camp, and the fan base showed them up and booed them, and we were talking our trash. I don't understand why Cowboys fans try to come to our training camp thinking it's sweet out here. YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here with yet another Washington football team video, and in today's video, I'm coming on here to recap day one of Washington football team training camp. Man, as you can see, the smile on our face, I'm so excited. Football season is back. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. But before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload a video about the NFL, or in this case, our Washington football team. Also, I want to ask that you guys follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's free, of course, and I will follow you back. Thank you for your follow in advance. Let's get straight into this recap. So football season is back, man. Like I said, I'm so excited, and we're going to be covering the Washington football team all year long. So let's not waste no more time. So to kick off training camp, as we found out yesterday, Landon Collins was a full go, and they wasted no time by putting a starting unit out there, more specifically the secondary, and more specifically than that, the safety. So they were trying out Landon Collins at safety, strong that is, and they tried Cameron Curl at free safety. As we know, they're both primarily strong safeties, and we're having this talk about who's going to start at strong safety. It's going to be Cameron Curl or Landon Collins, and the defensive coordinator, that being Jack Del Rio, and Ron Rivera obviously was like, why not try having them both out there? Now, I understand a lack of speed is going to be back there. You know what I'm saying? Not having a true free safety could hurt us. But if they're both back there together, that could be good. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, they're players that are going to be fighting for that one spot. But if we can try to have them back there together, we never know what can happen. Then moving on to the next note, J.D. McKissic on the third play picks up where he left off last season with a huge run up the middle. And that's exciting to see J.D. McKissic. We thought with Antonio Gibson coming back fully healthy, J.D. McKissic's role was going to demise just a little bit, because obviously Antonio Gibson is the #1 running back, and we're expecting him to have a big season. But it's great to see J.D. McKissic picking up where he left off last season, because the guy had a phenomenal season, obviously filling in for Antonio Gibson down the stretch when he dealt with that turf toe injury, and he was practically our #2 wide receiver, because he was the only one outside of maybe Logan Thomas too, outside of Terry McLaurin, that was constantly catching passes on a consistent basis. And you can have that due to Alex Smith being the quarterback, because Alex Smith is the dink and dunk king. So shout out to J.D. McKissic for obviously picking up where he left off. Then when you keep going, the next note and that we have here is that Cam Curl is at free safety is interesting. Think about what can happen with those two deep coverages. Think they want McLean in there too for single high coverages too. So like I said, they're not true free safety, so you won't be able to run the single high cover ones and stuff like that with Landon Collins or Cam Curl. You can try with Cam Curl, but you would want to have a true free safety in there, so Bobby McLean could be in there. And you're going to hear something about the Buffalo nickel coming up later in the video that you can possibly see them run a lot of this year too, when you have three safeties on the field. You have obviously Cam Curl and Collins in the back, and then have Bobby McLean as the free safety, and then you have one of the guys, Cam Curl or Landon Collins, in the box playing that box safety. So that's something that you're going to hear about the Buffalo nickel. Keep that in mind. And then moving on, my guy Kelvin Harmon had himself a day. He said, or she said, Kelvin Harmon with a shoestring catch on the right sideline, who with the defensive guy was in good coveraging, but it was a great throw by Kyle Allen and an even greater catch by Kelvin Harmon. So as you can see, Kelvin Harmon starting probably off with the 2s or 3s. I'm not sure, but assuming that Kyle Allen is the one throwing him the ball, he's on the backup team, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's only day one of training camp, and they're trying to get everyone in there and give them some reps. So it really don't matter who you're getting the ball thrown from, but as long as you're getting some work, that should be fine. So now moving on to the next note here, it says, I think that it's obvious, but taking these lumps now against the defensive line is going to be great practice for the offensive line. You'll rather go through the system now or get it out your system now than with meaningless games. So as you guys know, and obviously we expected, the defensive line is whipping up on the offensive line already. And like I said, we have obviously the best defensive line in the NFL. So it's not no surprise that they're beating up on the offensive line, who was missing, Cornelius Lucas, who were trying out new rotations with Eric Flowers at left guard, Sadiq Charles at right tackle even, and stuff like that, and Samuel Cosme, the rookie, up in there. So it's crazy to see all these combinations that we're trying at offensive line with Sadiq Charles at right tackle. Like, that's something different that I didn't even expect. But like I said, they're trying out something new. So you should expect this defensive line to work this offensive line throughout the whole training camp, because we don't even have our set 5 yet. Obviously, we know Brandon Sheriff and Chase Roulier are the 2 guys that's going to be in there, but those other 3 positions, we don't even know who's going to be on the starting 5. So you should be expecting the defensive line to whip up on the offensive line throughout the whole training camp, because we're trying to find our 5 that we're going to put out there versus LA come week 1. So don't pay that too much attention, because they're going to figure it out. Then you move on to the next note. It says Chase Young blew up the pass right tackle Samuel Cosme on the second play of 11v11s. Ryan Fitzpatrick was able to find Cam Sims on the sideline for a tough catch with William Jackson in coverage. So that's great to see. I know I just said we shouldn't pay attention who's throwing them the ball, but if you want to assume that Ryan Fitzpatrick is the quarterback 1, Cam Sims out there with the ones, he was one of the guys that I think could possibly get cut. I really don't want him to, but with this talent on this wide receiver room, he could be a guy on the outside looking in. But if he's out there with the ones and making good catches against our number 1 corner, that being William Jackson, he could very well find himself making this roster, not only making this roster, but being a really good wide receiver 3, maybe 4 for us on the active roster. So great play by Ryan Fitzpatrick and Cam Sims. If you're moving up on to the notes, you got some notes from Benjamin St. Juste. I know a lot of you guys want to hear about Benji. He says Benjamin is with the first team getting work in the slot. Bobby McClain was the deep safety. Cameron Curl was the Buffalo nickel. I told you guys to keep a word out about the Buffalo nickel, because they were going to talk a lot about that. And it says Adam Humphries speed by Kendall Fuller on a slant. Like I said, the Buffalo nickel is something that we're going to be in a lot with having 3 safeties on the field. Bobby McClain being a single high, then having Landon or having Cam Curl as the other safety, and then either one of those guys are going to be in the box. So that's something that you should see. But Benjamin St. Juste in the slot, that's kind of different. That's not nothing I expected. I thought if anything he was going to be our outside too. But trying him in a slot isn't that bad now that I think about it, because he had the length. Now the speed might be a little off because he's not that fast, especially being in the slot. You're going up against all fast receivers, but trying him in the slot, that could be something that we should look out for. Then you have more notes from Adam Humphries. It says Adam Humphries and the slants are doing easy money. He climbs up to get the pass from Ryan Fitzpatrick, and once again is off to the races. Now, like I said, we should expect that. Ryan Fitzpatrick and Adam Humphries, they were eating it up today, man. They were on the money. Their connection was 100%. But obviously, they have that rapport from Tampa Bay, so that should be nothing that we should expect any different of, because these guys know each other, and that's going to be a great connection if Ryan Fitzpatrick is the starter. Then you move on up to Cole Hookman. It says Cole Hookman came in like a screaming machine and had an interception squirt right out of his hands. On the sideline, Landon Collins was getting hyped. So, like I said, Cole Hookman out there making plays, although he did drop the interception. We like to squeeze those, man, and catch those interceptions. So I know Chris Harris isn't the linebackers coach, but I know he's probably somewhere saying you don't like nice things, because that's what Chris Harris like to say. So Cole Hookman, I need you to catch those next time. But great way to blow up that pass, because we know he's a great pass coverager, we know he's a great run stuffer and stuff like that, but it's great to always see you making plays. So second round of 11v11s, you have Cameron Curl and Bobby McClain as your safeties. Landon Collins on the sideline, Leno at left tackle, Schweitzer at left guard, Chase Roulier at center, right guard being Brandon Sheriff, and right tackle Samuel Cosme. Now, this is the lineup that I think we're going to go with week 1. I would substitute Cosme out for Cornelius Lucas, but since Cornelius Lucas isn't there right now, I could see Cosme being that right tackle. So that is actually our starting 5 that I'm predicting to happen. But with Cameron Curl and Bobby McClain being your safeties, that's exactly what I'm assuming should be the day 1 starters versus LA Chargers when we go out there on defense. But I know a lot of people that still like Landon Collins and still want him to start, but I like Cameron Curl and Bobby McClain as your 2 starting safeties. We have a true free safety and we have a true strong safety. Now you move up, Cam Curl with an answer to Adam Humphries and the slant party. He says comes in with a nice pass breakup against the slot receiver. So there you go, Cam Curl picking up where he left off, making some great plays. Then you also, this is something different that we shouldn't expect, or not, I wouldn't say shouldn't expect, but something that we probably probably didn't expect. DeAndre Carter getting some work in the slot. And I know a lot of people are going to say DeAndre Carter isn't making his roster, but they're probably trying to give him some work in the slot because he can be our punt returner / kick returner, and they want to give that maybe 6 wide receiver spot to whoever's going to be the punt returner / kick returner. So they're trying to, have him get some work at wide receiver so he doesn't just be one-dimensional, because they don't want to give one spot away to a guy that's just going to be a punt returner. So whoever's going to be the punt returner is going to get a lot of work at wide receiver too, so they can, obviously play that position also. Then you move on. It says Landon Collins at strong safety with Bobby McClain at free safety. That can also be another, duo that we could see, although I would prefer to be Cam Curl. And then you have Daryl Roberts coming as the third cornerback in the slot. So that's obviously his main position, and I'm glad to see Daryl Roberts in there. We got him from Detroit. Remember, we signed him. So I want to see him making plays, and it's great to see him out there. Rhiannon Walker says, sheesh, as, Isaiah Wright went up the middle between the defenders looking to bring in an impressive catch. Not so fast. Derek Forrest dislodges the ball as Wright was coming down with the forced incompletion. Great job staying with the play. So I like to see Derek Forrest coming in there making plays. He's another guy that could possibly make this roster at safety, but I see him more as a special teams guy to at least start his NFL career. But it's great to see him making plays. Isaiah Wright, I need you to catch those passes though, man. You can't afford to have incompletions. And I know it's a great play by Derek Forrest, but for a guy like Isaiah Wright that's trying to make this roster, you need to do everything you can to make this roster. So I need you to catch those passes. So moving on, says so far Ryan Fitzpatrick hasn't thrown too many deep passes. It's been him and Adam Humphries' show, which we should expect. These guys have that rapport. It's only right for that his first deep pass goes to Terry McLaurin, working across the middle of the field for about 20-yard completion. So like to see Ryan Fitzpatrick and Terry McLaurin getting that rapport going on. I'm glad to see it. I love it. And hopefully whoever the quarterback is going to give Terry McLaurin, a lot of opportunities, because he's due for a big year. My man is coming off a 1,000-yard season, but we know he has way more in the bag for way more receptions and way more touchdowns. So I'm glad to see that happening. And this is what I want to talk about here. Sadiq Charles is getting some work at right tackle. Eric Flowers at left guard with the first team. This is the first team. Rivera said they're going to find the best combo of players to put on the field, so a lot of folks are getting looks. Like I said, we obviously know Eric Flowers is really good at left guard. Shout out to the previous offensive line coach, that being Bill Callahan, for, spotting that. But Sadiq Charles at right tackle was not nothing we really talked about this offseason. We talked about him probably playing left guard or getting some snaps at left tackle, but right tackle, that's a little bit, odd, but I could very well see it happening if that's where he's performing his best at, but that's a little bit different. Moving on to the next note, it says, and the biggest round of applause of the day goes to Taylor Heinicke. Taylor Heinicke drops back and goes deep to side tight end Sammis Reyes, who caught it in midair in the Bermuda Triangle of defenders. Impressive focus and nice job keeping his stride. So shout out to Taylor Heinicke. I know a lot of you guys like, wait, where the Taylor Heinicke notes at? My man was balling out too. And I'll be honest, and I know it's training camp, so this is probably why, but no one really had a bad day. And it's only day one, obviously, but no one really had a bad day. So moving on to the next note, it says Kyle Allen with a massive strike to Kelvin Harmon, who has had a good day of catching everything thrown his way. And is that a surprise? No, it's not, because we know in 2019, Kelvin Harmon caught everything. His name is Baby Julio for a reason, not just because he looks like him, but because he catches everything thrown his way. So if Kelvin Harmon can make this roster, he's going to be in for a good season, in my opinion. I think he can be a very good deep threat for Washington, and obviously a good red zone threat. And more importantly, his knee looks 100%. So moving on to the next note, it says Curtis Samuel in New Jersey joins the receivers on the sideline and walking and talking to Terry. So obviously we know Curtis Samuel on the PUP list. And then moving on, it says the first interception of the day goes to the People's Corner. Jimmy Moreland out there making plays. Tip pass from Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Moreland makes his heads up play and makes him pay for throwing that pass. So shout out to the People's Corner. This is our projected starting slot cornerback, and it's glad to see him make plays. I know a lot of you guys want to see him get some action on the outside, which I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, because it actually don't say if he was in the slot or on the outside on this play. It just says that he caught an interception. So I'm glad to see him out there making plays, because he's a guy that we need to rely on heavily on this defense if he makes this roster, of course. It says Ryan Fitzpatrick comes back on the very next play and makes a pass on the rope to the left sideline to Terry McLaurin, who drags his trailing feet in for the completion. William Jackson was in great coverage, just better offense on that one play. So I'm glad to see William Jackson and Terry McLaurin going at it. It's going to be great to see these guys in practice when the season starts, and obviously throughout training camp going back and forth. You're going to have days where William Jackson gets the best of Terry, then you're going to have days obviously like, you know, today where Terry gets the best of William Jackson. So it's glad to see that. And then you move on to the next note. It says, wow, DeAndre Carter nearly came up with the most impressive catch of the day. Taylor Heineke unloads a deep pass on the right sideline. Carter had two defenders in coverage, but used great concentration to grab the ball. As he went down to the turf, the ball squeezed out for the INC incompletion. So, dang, man, that turf, man. I know the turf could be your worst enemy, man, as it was a great play, obviously, reported by Rhiannon Walker, but obviously the turf messed it up. But great ball by Taylor Heineke. You know, I want him to be the starter, so I need more plays like this from Heineke, because he's not only a fan favorite, but he's seeming, you know, like the better quarterback if we had a true quarterback competition. But moving on to some more notes. This first day of training camp closes with Kelvin Harmon doing more of the same things that he did. Takes slants and strides for up the field for that good play. So it's great to see, you know, Kelvin Harmon not only being a deep threat, but can be a short yardage wide receiver as he takes a mini slant up the field and he stays in stride. And once again, more importantly, that ACL looks very strong, or that knee looks very strong. So I'm glad to see him back. So yeah, man, there you have it. The end of day one. All the notes and nuggets that you need to know. Everyone really balled out today, from the defensive line, obviously, from the secondary, from Kelvin Harmon, from Adam Humphries, Terry McLaurin, Taylor Heineke, Ryan Fitzpatrick. It was just a great day. JD McKissick. I'm excited football is back, man. So as you guys know, we'll be doing this every single day. So I urge you guys to like this video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at juangottiwft. The links are in the description. It's free, of course. Like I said, we're going to be doing this every single day. As always, it's me, your boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, subscribe. Hail to the Washington football team. Let me know what your favorite part about training camp was today. Comment it down below. I'll be replying to every single comment. I'm out. Peace. Cost me one time, that's gonna get you pop. Get you pop, get you drop, slide on the one where they get you locked on. I ain't stopping till I get me a